Welcome to episode 15 of the At Bat Baseball podcast presented by War Media, where we give you our thoughts on the latest Chicago baseball news as well as take a trip around the league. I am Saul Rodriguez along with Miles Porter. How are we doing today, man?
Doing good, doing good. Got another episode in, a lot to talk about. A lot to talk about with the All-Star.
Oh yeah. And then speaking of a lot to talk about, how was your weekend with the Milwaukee Jaguars?
Yeah, so this weekend we won 8-0. We played on Sunday. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to play in that game due to car issues.
Mm.
But the boys are hot. We're playing tomorrow against Racine, and we're fighting. We're fighting for a first place spot. And just staying focused. And my coach told me I'm close to making the All-Star team, so I'm trying not to think about that too much. But it's cool news. You work hard, so that feels good. But the bigger picture is that we are playing so well right now, so we're just trying to keep the momentum going.
Well, my voting's working because I've been voting Miles Porter every day. You know?
Yeah, thank you,
I got
thank you.
I got the All Star ballot. When
Right,
is
yeah,
when is that All Star game then? When I didn't even know you guys had an All Star. That's badass.
yeah, yeah,
When do you
yeah.
guys have?
Yeah. So I think it's like late July or early August, something like that. There wasn't an All-Star game or home run derby the past few years because of everything that's been going on in the world. But this is the first year that they've brought it back. So yeah, I know it's like late July or early August, somewhere around that time. So when that happens, I look forward to speaking to you all about it.
Oh yeah, for real. No, and then I remember you said earlier in one of the episodes you said that last year you made it but as like a reserve or something like that, and you were like, that's whack.
I was an honorary
Oh
mention, which
yeah.
is stupid. It felt like a participation trophy. Like, good job, Miles. And I got like a pat on the back. Like, don't pat my back.
Yeah.
Oh,
You're like if I don't get a spot, then I don't want anything. Like
yeah, yeah. It just felt like they're just like, you did good. You didn't make it, but good job, Miles. And I was like, thanks.
yeah, he said hell no.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. Well, thanks for your Milwaukee Jaguars update. That
Oh
is
yeah.
the Miles corner right there.
Oh yeah.
So we'll slide into Chicago baseball talk where the White Sox start. We're recording this on a Tuesday. They're 41 and 44. They come after, or they coming into this week after another tough one. With the series lost to Minnesota 2 games out of 3, and then splitting a series against Detroit 2 games out of that 4. Um, and they're in third place in the AL Central, 5.5 games back. It's just new week, same result for the White Sox. It seems. It's they have a we talked about in the last episode. They have a great opportunity to end the first half with such giant momentum. If you could just get some series wins here, and the first part of that crucial stretch does not start well. In that series versus Minnesota, the Sox could have easily won 2 out of 3. Two of the games were pretty close. I mean, the second game, that one was tough. It was 8-2. Kopech once again marred by home runs. He actually gave up the craziest thing was that game he gave up 4 home runs when he had only given up 5 the whole season. So the Twins definitely have his number. Eloy Jimenez, Robert, Andrew Vaughn, they all homered in game 3, where the Sox were able to salvage the series finale. Yeah, what do you, I mean, like, we know that the Twins are a better team right now.
Yep.
But like, what's the difference between them? Like, what do you see the Twins that are doing compared to what the Sox are doing? Not only in that series in particular, but just in general throughout the season.
Yeah, kind of like you said earlier, the Twins they're playing with momentum. They're playing very motivated, and I just really think they have the White Sox numbers. They're also playing against, from what I'm seeing this entire season, is not a very confident White Sox team. Not saying that they're not confident at all, because we've seen them every time they get a rally, every time they get a big hit, they're feeling very good. But initially, with a lot of what I'm seeing from the White Sox is just a lot of scenarios in which they're approaching the game. They don't look very confident in themselves. Um, there's a lot of big moments during that series that they had that they could have capitalized on, but ground ball to the second baseman, pop up in the infield. We're kind of giving them the game, giving the game back to them, and never not really putting ourselves in it. That's what I'm noticing a lot with the White Sox. And like I said last week, this is such a talented team. I think it is the mental part right now because there is a lot of pressure for the White Sox. They are playing a lot of divisional games, and it has been an interesting year for them. And there's no secret that they're feeling that. So I just don't think they're going into a lot of these divisional games feeling very good about themselves right now. And I think that's rightfully so. It's if they're not feeling very good about themselves, by the performances that we've seen this year, it's understandable. But like I always love to go back to, this is such a talented ball club. I'm really hoping that they make a run for it. But if there's a time to turn it on, it's now. The divisional losses are big. Now the Sox are only we're a little bit under 500 right now. We're not completely away from what we're supposed to, what we know this team can do. But the more the White Sox kind of hover around 500 or less, what I'm seeing a lot with these other teams in the Central, they're starting to take off now. They're capitalizing on the White Sox kind of just slipping, and like I said earlier, they're starting to feel that pressure. In many ways, I would love to see the White Sox just go on like a 6-game stretch of just confident, great baseball. But I know that is much easier said than done. So it's like you said, it's a lot of the same thing each series, and hopefully they turn it on soon.
Yeah, and just the Twins. I mean, like the confidence they're playing with is on a whole nother level.
Yeah,
It's almost seems like the opposite of the White Sox, and it just hasn't like stopped for the Twins. Like they've maybe got I think maybe a game and a half that the lead got to when they were facing the Guardians. The Guardians played them pretty well. But no, yeah, they brought it back up, and the White Sox, for example, they're still like even if they don't like obviously still a long way to go, but even if they like for example fall behind in the American League Central, the wild card is still wide open. I mean, they still have a chance. I mean, they're three games out of that, so still plenty of season left, regardless of what happens. Because I still think that the teams like the Twins, teams like the Guardians, they're gonna add. And it's going to be pretty important when they get those acquisitions because the Guardians, you could argue, are maybe like a bat away or like a pen piece away from being probably the best team in the American League Central if
yeah,
everything goes well for them.
yeah,
Same with the Twins. If they get a
yeah.
starter, if they get like a competent starter, maybe even like an ace type starter, like
Mm-hmm.
say like a Luis Castillo, like if they get a guy like him, it changes everything, So
Changes everything. Yeah,
so yeah, so if they can get that, then that'll be pretty daunting for the White Sox.
yeah.
I know I saw a clip of the CH Go White Sox podcast, and it's with Herb Lawrence, who's been on before, and he was saying, "Man, I almost want these guys to lose 20 in a row, so or no, I almost want the Twins to win 20 in a row, so that they could just put the White Sox away and end their misery, like basically like end their misery, like that's where White Sox fans are right now. It's pretty
Right.
pretty tough. I had a friend who's a White Sox fan text me already like the players the Sox would trade if they sell." So,
Oh, geez. Oh no, we're already at that point.
so I'm like, damn, okay, we're there already. All right.
Yeah,
But no, yeah, I mean, so they went into that after that series and they played the Tigers, and man, the Tigers like I feel like they're almost like they probably have maybe a couple younger pieces that are better than like for example the Cubs, but they remind me of the Cubs just because of how pesky they are. Like they play every team pretty well, and like regardless of their stance, and uh like for example the Javier Baez, he had 2 home runs in that series. He had White Sox fans flicking him off while he was running the bases at Guaranteed Rate Field, which I thought was hilarious because
yeah,
obviously he's had a tough season, but he's played probably some of his best baseball in the past few weeks.
yeah, yeah,
But yeah, in that series also they had Lucas Giolito just again. He could not maintain the momentum from his last 2 starts. He allowed
yeah,
5 to Detroit. Um, they're they were able to bounce back after losing the first 2 games of that series and win 3 and 4 with of course the help of the legendary Johnny Cueto. Cannot say that enough about that guy. He's
yeah.
like I mean, you could argue he's the ace of them right now. He's the ace of the
Yeah,
Sox right now because
yeah,
he gets the job done every single time he's been out there. It's
yeah,
crazy. Um, so then yeah, and then they played the Guardians. They have three more against the Guardians. Um, we cannot stress enough how big this. I think we've said it enough how big this stretch is for the White Sox. But
yeah.
oh, realistically, what do you think they can hope for in the coming weeks? In the coming week, they got three more against Cleveland and four against Minnesota, four at Minnesota. All these games are away this week to close out the first half. Like realistically, it, you obviously you want to win every game, but like, what do you
Yeah.
think is a realistic window for the Sox this week?
Yeah, I think what's realistic for the Sox is, to possibly split these series. I think it's less likely against Minnesota, but also, the Guardians are on an absolute tear at the moment. Now, I could be very wrong, and we can look back on this on the next episode next week. I don't know if the White Sox have the confidence to win these series. We kind of saw it happen when the White Sox were in Cleveland the last time. It was a little bit of a struggle for them, and when Guardians came here and gave them another hard time, they just struggle. They struggle against these divisional teams. So I don't think I don't think it's really going to be an easy drop off, to be honest. These are going to be very hard series for the White Sox, but they are more than capable of hanging in there. It's just a matter of going out there and having a short memory and just playing your game. This is the these are three great teams. I know the Central's kind of looked down on in the AL and the NL, but we gotta look at this team. We got to look at this entire division because these are three very talented teams. I don't care if the Sox were 4 or 5 games under 500. These are three very talented teams that I still feel that it's somewhat up for grabs. Maybe not so much for the White Sox, but for the Guardians and the Twins, they're really fighting for something there. They've taken advantage of the White Sox struggles. So I think a very realistic outcome is the Sox possibly split these series, but I would love to be proven wrong. Um, I just don't see them. I don't see them dominating too much in these series. But that's just me being realistic. I would love to see them win both of these series and get their momentum back. But as of right now, I don't see it.
Yeah, and I think the just the way that series started just says it all for the Sox. Like, Lance Lynn getting roughed up. I mean, if they want to get anywhere near this race or get anywhere near the top of the race, I should say, they're gonna need big starts from guys like that. They're gonna need big starts from Kopech. They can't be taking these hits against these teams like this. So. On some lighter news for the Sox, the All Star rosters were revealed over the last week. And the White Sox have an all-star starter. Tim Anderson gets his first start as the American League shortstop, but it's his second straight all-star game. He has a 120 OPS plus. He's got 10 steals in 55 games. Also, some of the stuff. I mean, the guy is one of the best shortstops, if not the best shortstop in the American League. The guy, 99 percentile for expected batting average. He's in the 92 percentile for K percentage. The guy never Ks. 84 percentile for expected weighted on base. So I mean, it's just this guy obviously deserves that start at shortstop for the American League. What are your thoughts on Tim Anderson and just the type of player he is for the Sox and how far this guy can take them?
Oh, he can take them so far. Timmy
Hmm.
Timmy's been incredible. He's been incredible for this team. He's so consistent for them. I know he's had his struggles defensively, but offensively, he's a wizard. He's an absolute wizard, and he's been so reliable. He's been so reliable that anywhere LaRussa puts him in the lineup, I know I've seen him a lot at the top of the lineup. I've seen him leading off a little bit lately. Um, you know, much very very much earned. And I remember in 2018, I met Tim Anderson when the White Sox honored us for winning the World Series at Oakton, and he was like well, like the first player to come out of there and just meet all of us and shake everyone's hand and just really, I don't know, it feels good. It feels good to see that. And this is in my opinion, I think he's kind of like the heart and soul of the White Sox. He's kind of the heart and soul of what they represent, and what every player in that lineup is trying to achieve, along with Jose Abreu as well. So this is very, very much earned. For me, it wouldn't have been enough if he was just an all-star this year. He had to be a starter because he's been incredible. Obviously defensively he could do better, like I said earlier, but this was very much earned. And he has to keep doing everything that he's been doing this season because the White Sox need it. Um, so he's the one player on this team that's really keeping their head above water, along with other factors as well. But offensively, he has been an absolute joy to watch. So biggest congratulations to him.
Yeah, and you make a good point. I mean, he really is. I've been saying that for the last couple of years. Is like this dude is like he represents everything the White Sox are, and just like the fact that like even when they're good, if you count us out, I don't care. You know what I mean? Like we're gonna go out there and we're gonna smash, hit bombs and do all this, and that's type of like player that Tim Anderson is, and exciting. How much of an exciting player he is too. So yeah, it's cool to see that. It's cool to see the White Sox get represented in the All-Star game. Now he's the only All-Star representative for the White Sox, and a lot of people pretty pissed about a couple of the other White Sox that didn't make it, but not none more so than Dylan Cease. I mean he. I know he's one of the league leaders in FIP. I mean he's one of the league leaders in ERA. Yeah, I mean what do you think about that? I know seeing that I was a little bit surprised. I know I know that it's one of those things where it's always. I was telling a friend that was super mad about it, but I'm like, at the end of the day, it's one of those things where it's the every team needs an all-star thing, and like, hey, I get some people have a problem with that. Completely understand why they have a problem with that, but I think the reason I guess kind of sympathize with that is just because whenever your team is bad, and you having and your team has an all-star, for example, like the Cubs, it's like it sounds corny, but it's like your postseason, right? It's like your moment for your player to shine on the national stage. So I think that's why I like that about baseball is that they give the even the bad teams an opportunity like that. But yeah, like what are your thoughts about Dylan Cease and him not making the cut?
Yeah, it's definitely it's competitive. I believe he should be in there. I believe he should be in there. 7 wins, 4 losses with a 2.45 ERA in 17 games. 92 innings pitched. It's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate that he hasn't he didn't get a shot this year. But like like you said, the White Sox will have many moments to shine this year, and so will Dylan Cease, and who's to say his name isn't going to be still mentioned in the Cy Young race at the end of this year. But it's it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Opponents are hitting 205 off him, and he's thrown 92 innings exactly this year. I think it came to me by surprise, and he's really been the main starter for the White Sox this year. So I think, yeah, it's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate, but he's gonna get that recognition he deserves. Unfortunately, it wasn't for the All Star team, but he should be on this team for sure. Yeah, not too much to say there. I just that's another one of those players that I look at and I'm like, oh man, what exactly did we miss? I don't get it. I don't understand. So it's unfortunate for him, but I hope he knows that he has been absolutely remarkable for this team, and he's struck out 133 this year. I'm looking at his stats as we're talking. It's so many great things to take away. I don't want this to be any sort of pinnacle for his season because he has been absolutely lights out.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, I think there's a like I think it's no doubt that he gets in like as an injury replacement or something. I think he's got to be in the top two of like the next guys up. And
Yeah,
pitchers
yeah,
pitchers unfortunately fall excuse me. Pitchers unfortunately fall like flies during this time. So, and it's not
yeah.
even that. Like I'm sure some players are not even injured. They just don't want to play in it, which is
Yeah.
understandably so. But yeah. So with Cease, I think he'll make it in. But yeah, and the thing with him, what hurts him, if you want to split hairs with this guy when it comes down to like you're comparing him to like Nestor Cortez or Otani and stuff like that, is Dylan Cease just walks a few more guys than they do, and that's literally the definition of the splitting hairs because he just walks a
Yeah.
little bit. Like his whip is 1.23, I think it was.
Yeah.
So compared to the guys that have been selected, most of them, I know Martin Perez had like a 118, but again, Rangers need an all-star. So yeah, it's a little tough, but like I said, hopefully he gets in as a injury replacement or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so we'll move over to the Cubs now, and they are 34 and 52. They had
Ooh,
a series, yeah.
sorry.
cover, but cover your ears, kids. Get the earmuffs.
Yeah.
They had a series win against the Brewers. They had a great start to the week, but they were quickly shut down by the Dodgers. It was 4 straight series wins for the Cubs, which was crazy to hear when I heard when I put two and two together. I was like, damn, it's really been 4 straight. Wow. And they went into LA and were humbled. So it's just baseball for you. Um, they gave the Brewers a hard time though, which again I'd love to see. Because just as we've always called out the Central this season, that's the leader of the NL Central, and they just don't look like it. The Cubs won 2 out of 3. They obviously that we talked a little bit about in the last show that July 4th, Seiya Suzuki inside the Parker. That was pretty awesome to see. Obviously, Cubs lost that game, but Cubs ended up winning the next two. They won game 2 8-3 behind another Suzuki bomb, though that one actually left the park. And then Hendricks actually left the game after 3 innings with a shoulder strain, but he was placed on the 15-day IL, so hopefully he comes back soon, which is kind of tough because I feel like not all the results were there, but he was pitching a little better in the last month or so. So hopefully he's able to come back soon. Also, I feel like that hurts his trade stock if the Cubs were looking to deal him. Not that he was carrying a lot of trade stock, but that obviously hurts him. In Game 3, the Cubs were down for most of the game, but they ended up winning 2-1 with the help of Ortega's RBI single and PJ Higgins, of course, with an RBI double in the ninth for the 2-1 win. Then, yeah, like I said, that four game series in Los Angeles. I mean, all Dodgers. The Cubs fought every game, but the Dodgers clutch hitting, coming back from behind, like I think in 2 or 3 games. I guess one of the silver linings was the Cubs were able to get to All-Star Tony Gonsolin, who was like the NL, leader in ERA and wins. But the Cubs still lost that game. You know what? Overall, obviously the Cubs season isn't going very well, but it's been particularly bad over the last couple months. Since May 25th, I saw a stat where it was the A's and the Angels had the 2 worst records since May 25th, and the third team on that list was the Cubs at 16 and 27. So it's been pretty hard to watch, but from the Brewers series, the pluses there. From the Dodgers, the negatives there, or even some pluses there anyway. What did you see from the Cubs over the last week?
Ooh, so I think there's a lot of good to take away from that Milwaukee series, just in terms of taking advantage of a team that really is talented, but wouldn't be in first place in any other division. Really not much good to take away from the Dodgers series. That's the Dodgers are a powerhouse team, and in my opinion, I think they're the deepest team in the National League. And it's just it's just one of those things where like you said, they got humbled. Suzuki drops the ball in the outfield, but that really wasn't like a huge factor during the series in terms of what happened. There was all kinds of. I think okay. So if there's one thing that I think about when I look at this series. There was a lot of offense, especially in that last game. There was a lot of offense, but maybe pitching wise, when I say there's a lot of offense, we scored a lot of runs, but we also gave up a lot of runs. And it's just how can the Cubs figure out a way to balance everything out for the years to come? Because I think offensively, this team is going to be very, very good in the future. I think they have a lot of great things going for them with Nico Hoerner, with Seiya Suzuki, with Christopher Morel, so many young players I could list off. And I didn't even talk about Happ or Contreras if he's still on the team, fingers crossed. And it's just there's a lot of potential for this team offensively. And then so when it comes to the pitching side of things, what are we going to do? What's going to happen on draft night? How are we going to take? What direction is the team trying to go in? I think pitching would be very important because I actually do believe that offensively the Cubs have been very solid this year for not only for what we have, but just in general. I'm liking a lot of the at bats that I'm seeing from our guys. Um, so hopefully, we're able to add a couple of important arms in the next draft coming up. Um, over the years, hopefully sign a couple of guys who can take the reins of the rotation or take the reins of the bullpen a little bit more and go from there and build off of something because I do look at the Cubs and I don't want to believe that they're gonna struggle like this for the next 5-6 years. I don't believe they will. But this is a little bit of a different organization under Jed compared to Theo. Not knocking anyone's style, but there's a difference. There's a difference in styles of what these general managers want to do with the team. So offensively, I think the Cubs have been very solid. I think they were solid in those last two series. Pitching wise, we got some things to work on. Rowan Wick has had a really hard time. He's had a really hard time over the past month, and I don't think it's been talked about too much. I wonder what his future is with the Cubs going forward. There's a lot to improve on the pitching side. So, yeah.
No, yeah, and the thing is, like I mean, you brought up a good point too in the fact that the offense is not the problem. Like they actually have played for as much as it's been a really unpleasant season. The Cubs are ninth in the league in weighted runs created plus, or in weighted runs created, and then they're still in the top 12 for weighted runs created plus. They are also have the highest walk percentage in the league. Like the Yankees aren't even in the top 10. So that's kind of crazy there.
Yeah, yeah. They got some good approaches on this team.
Yeah,
I've been noticing that this year.
yeah, exactly. So guys like Ian Happ, the way they walk, the guys like Seiya Suzuki, their approach, Nico Horner, like
Oh,
so yeah. I mean, they have that type of thing, and even say like for example, like and I know, and you're hoping we keep Wilson or whatever, but say we get rid of Wilson, still, you still have guys like it and like we still have that maybe possibility that hey, maybe they don't move Happ, maybe Happ is the guy, not necessarily build around, but they have the leader there. And if
yeah.
they if they were to keep him, I mean they still have plenty of guys to work with. And one of the things too that I wanted to talk about was the fact that like over the last week, people I think said that maybe or executives believe Xander Bogaerts will come here. And just on your opinion on like who is the best free agent fit do you think for the Cubs? Like we got Aaron Judge out there, Carlos Correa, Trey Turner, Xander Bogaerts. Those are probably the top four free agent position players that are going to be available. In your opinion, out of those guys, who do you want and who do you think is a realistic fit? I know Correa and Judge have come out and said that they don't want to be part of a rebuilding team, but I think money talks at the end of the day. But what do you think?
Yeah, yeah. I think, like you said, I think the money definitely talks. As I think we saw with a few guys that went to a few teams this year, but they were like, "Oh, okay." And then you look at the contract, you're like, "Oh, that's why you went there."
Mhm.
Got it. Okay, cool. Um, I think Bogarts would be a great fit. I don't know. I don't know how much I would want to move Horner from shortstop. Just because as a ball player, when you're playing well and things are going good and things are finally starting to click, there's a lot of ball players who don't want to change much. So any routine that goes into how Nico Horner is playing, that even goes to him taking the field at shortstop, and that kind of affects his mentality offensively because this is how he feels whole. So if you take away Horner from shortstop and you put him at second, he might not feel as whole as he was. He might not feel as complete as opposed to him playing as shortstop. And if you notice, that's what the Cubs did when Addison Russell came back and Javi was at short. They took Russell and put him at second as he was platooning with Ben Zobrist. It's one of those. I know Bogarts could play a little bit of third as well. I really like Bogarts coming over here, and I think Correa and Judge we can pretty much rule them out. I think Correa made it clear, like you said, with not wanting to be a part of a rebuild. Very fair enough. I think Aaron Judge's home is with the Yankees. Trey Turner, I don't know. I don't know if the Cubs are willing to pay him as much as he's going to ask for. Same thing with Bogarts as well. But there's someone who realistically I can see fitting on this ball club, just in terms of approach and some of his metrics. I think Bogarts fits very well. I really do believe he fits very well on this team. So there's one guy I had to pick. I'll definitely say it's Bogarts. So I look forward to kind of seeing how the offseason unfolds. So I think it's going to be a lot of big moves, and we might see some surprises with Correa and Judge. But I think more so Correa. I think it can be, but it's pretty much a toss in the air with him. I'd be surprised if Judge was not back with the Yankees next year. So I look forward to kind of seeing what happens there.
Yeah, and I think with Bogarts, I think probably, yeah, I think you can't move Nico. I think that's the thing. You can't move Nico. I think he is honestly, well, statistically speaking, one of the best, one of the most elite shortstops in the game defensively. So you can't move him. Yeah. So I think Bogarts are probably second or third, as you said. Like they got to put him there or DH him. His defense hasn't been the best over the past couple of years, so maybe
Right.
DH him again. Who knows what will happen, but that's just a
Yeah.
guess. But yeah, no, it'll be interesting. But I do agree with you on the fact that Aaron Judge belongs in New York, and as much as I would want Judge on my team, I kind of want Judge just to stay there. I think it's
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
perfect
Yeah.
he's a perfect Yankee. Um, but we'll see. It's gonna be a crazy offseason
I
for
don't want to
sure.
see Yankees fans go through what we went through with Rizzo. Keep your guy.
Yeah,
Keep
that
your guy.
too.
It hurts, man. It hurts. Keep your guy. Make
Yeah,
sure he stays around. Appreciate
exactly.
him. Okay.
For real. And now we'll look ahead to the Cubs week. They have 2 games against the Orioles and 4 against the Mets, all at Wrigley. And I think it'll be a pretty cool week because these are teams that are vying for postseason spots. Never thought I'd say that about the Orioles, but it's true. They're definitely in the wild card hunt in the American League. What do you think the Cubs will see when they play these 2 teams this week? And just what do you expect overall? I mean, I know it's not going to be probably a good week. I think these are 2 tough teams in general. So you might not see a lot of wins, but what do you see coming up?
Yeah, they're going to face a very pesky Orioles team. As we know, this is a team that is just, you could look at them and think to yourself, yeah, we could beat them. Whatever. It's just your no. This is a team that this is a team that's playing probably the best baseball right now in the MLB, in my opinion. And we kind of always mention this, but the Orioles they've proven that they could beat big teams. And now on top of them, kind of realizing that they're able to beat a lot of these really competitive ball clubs that are really in the hunt. They've kind of not kind of they put it together these past 8 games, and it's been pretty sick to watch, honestly. That's the cool thing about baseball. Anything can happen. So this is a team that I think is like, hey guys, we're good. We are good at baseball. Yeah. We're good. You're right. So they can, I think they're gonna come into Wrigley kind of looking to move the Cubs out of the way. They're like, all right, cool. We got to take 2 from you guys. We're gonna go finish off this other series before the All-Star break. I don't know I don't think this is going to be an easy series. I don't think it is, but I also do believe the Cubs have a chance of dominating at home and kind of trying to regain some momentum, but that is hard after getting swept in 4. um I kind of do see the Orioles coming to town and taking care of business, but anything can happen. And then when it comes to the Mets coming in town this weekend, that's going to be another very, very tough series. That's a very talented ball club coming in, very, very hot team with a lot of momentum coming in. So might not be the easiest series. Might not be the easiest 2 series before the All-Star break. But anything can happen. The Cubs just have to play their game. I think do their best to kind of keep the ball out of the air, keep it on the ground. That's the one thing I could kind of point out. But besides that, the bats are hot. I didn't even mention PJ Higgins earlier, who's been absolutely tearing it up for the Cubs this year. And keep the ball on the ground, keep the ball out of the air, and hope something good happens. That's the best way I can put it for them.
Yeah, it's his best we could hope for. I mean, the good thing is like and we've said this before, the Cubs play the best teams in baseball pretty well. I mean, it's obviously not including the Yankees or the Dodgers because they're like, I think over 10 in that regard. But when they're playing teams like, the best teams in the National League, they still, they hold their own. So
Yeah,
if they could do that against the Orioles and the Mets, that'll be pretty good. I'm sure we could steal one from the Orioles at home.
yeah, yeah,
The Mets, maybe steal one or two depending on
yeah.
whatever happens. But yeah, I think they'll be really hard matchups for the Cubs. But yeah, hopefully they end the first half on a high note. Why not? Right.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
um
Yeah,
so 6 more games to go there. And good now talking about the Cubs All-Stars, they have Wilson Contreras making his second All-Star start. And he's gonna be in the starting lineup with his brother William from the
really
Atlanta
cool.
Braves. Yeah, he's gonna be the DH as Bryce Harper can't start as he fractured his thumb. These are the first brothers to start an All-Star game in the same league since the Alomar brothers in '92. They did it 2 years in a row, actually. And then of course Ian Happ makes his first All-Star appearance. He has a 4 WAR, and I mean, well deserving. And with the Wilson thing, it's more of most likely his last start or his last All-Star appearance as a Cub. Um, for Ian Happ, depending on what happens, it could be his too. But I will say this: Wilson, of course, well deserved. I mean, he's the best catcher in. You could argue offensively in baseball, offensively for sure. Ian Happ, there's not much more to say about this guy. The guy is one of the best players in the National League, one of the best players on the Cubs.
Yeah,
Well deserving after everything he's been through. I mean, the guy had so many ups and downs early on in his
yeah,
career, but what we do know is that when he plays well. So it's
yeah.
like, he's had a couple injury riddled season, had a 3 month injury riddled seasons. He went a few weeks into the minor leagues, and he was able to build himself back up, and he did that, and he's here. And I know they showed him in an interview and he was super emotional about it. And it makes sense. I mean, the guy was able to come back from a dark place. I mean, he talked about how, like, he was told that he wasn't going to play that much last year when they were facing the Dodgers because that's how bad he was. And now for like a year later to be told he's going to be an all-star in that same office, he was told he wasn't going to play that much. Yeah, he got emotional. So it's cool to see those types of stories. I know I was watching that All Star selection, just hoping that it'd be in it, but
Yeah,
I wasn't expecting it just because the Cubs, where the Cubs are at,
yeah,
and stuff like that. So it was really cool, of like a little bit of a surprise almost to like for the National League to recognize him. Obviously, kudos to Brian Snitker and the Braves for picking him. So
yeah.
yeah, but what are your thoughts on both of the All Stars, Contreras and Happ?
Oh my gosh, so much, so well deserved. And I pointing to Ian, he's just been so great. He's been so great this year. Probably still hasn't gotten much of the attention that he deserves, but that's understandable on a team that is the Chicago Cubs. That we're back to these days. We're back to these days before the era that we became very accustomed to. But we're not going to be here forever. And Ian Happ, in my opinion, is kind of like one of the shining lights that shows us, hey, we're not always going to be like this. We're gonna be good again. We're gonna be good again soon. And gosh, he has worked so hard. I remember his debut in St. Louis and just everything that he's been through, the ups and downs. I remember how hot he was in 2020, and then last year it was a bit tough for him, but he finished the year so strong last year. He showed how talented he really is, in my opinion. If you take away his first half stats from last year and just look at the second half, once we lost the guys that we became accustomed to seeing, he really stepped up. He stepped up so well for this team, and I think he pretty much continued that into this season. So so I'm so happy for him. I'm so happy for Ian. He really did earn this. And then, with Wilson to start next to his brother, that's so cool. That's really cool. There's a lot of cool stories that come out of this, and there's also other stories about certain players that should be in this, but I know we're not there yet.
Yeah, no, yeah, that'll be next. We'll talk a little bit about the snubs and stuff like that. So yeah, no, I mean yeah, I mean I can't imagine how cool that would be, man, to have a sibling in the All-Star game and to
Oh
play
my
with them. I
gosh, that'd
mean
be so cool.
that would just be like the peak, you know. So
His little
um,
brother too, and
yeah,
he saw him grow up, and oh gosh, that
yeah.
story is so cool.
I know, and just the fact that like Wilson said that he had never seen him. I think he said he had never seen him play like above like little league. Like he had never seen him just because he left obviously he was with the Cubs for when he was young and stuff here. So
Yeah,
the fact that he got to see William play like pro ball or just even
yeah.
like any type of ball above little league in the majors is crazy to me. So yeah, it's awesome, man, and definitely that's one of those things I can't wait to see next week at the All-Star game in Los Angeles. So speaking of the All-Star game, now we shift towards the rest of the league. One of the things we did was we wanted to, pick apart the roster a little bit. Pick a couple of the guys that we want to talk about, a couple guys that deserve a little more of the spotlight, even a little more that they're getting now as their all stars, and also one snub because every year there's a snub. There's snubs, and those definitely are all seen all over social media, and people definitely feel it. Hopefully, the guys we talk about are added as as we said before, late replacements. But yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that. I'll let Miles, you go first, so you can talk. Well, first we'll talk about the positives. We'll talk about a couple of the players that we think deserves a little more of the spotlight. Who do you have?
Yeah. So, wow, Aaron Judge. What more can you really say? We talked about him earlier with free agency. Obviously, I believe he's going to stay with the Yankees, but what an incredible year for him. Just he's been such a leader for this offense. He's been so consistent the entire season. Um, and he's such a complete hitter too. One thing I noticed about Aaron Judge is that he uses every single part of the field. And that is kind of rare in today's game. We're not seeing a lot of guys, especially with his size, use every single part of the field. He really knows how to control the pace of an at bat. He knows what he wants in an at bat. He knows what he's looking for, and it's just been fun to watch. 30 home runs, driving in 60 RBIs on 90 hits. This man has 90 hits and 30 of them have been home runs. Are you kidding me? Why are you that good at hitting a baseball? It's just so fun to watch, and it's been great. Aaron Judge has been an absolute leader for that ball club, and it shows. It shows how talented this team is. So for the AL, I'm going with Aaron Judge. Wow, what a year from him. For the NL, Paul Goldschmidt. Why is your batting average that high? Do you ever get out? Like, have you ever gotten out before? I feel like I never see it. Um, 19
And
home
he's
runs.
on base too. Is 420. I mean,
Yeah, like
that's dumb.
who made you? Like this is incredible. He's having such a great year. And I don't think he's being talked about enough still. Oh my God, 19 home runs, 65 driven in on 107 hits. He's 61 runs and did a 335 batting average. Stop it. Stop. Okay, we get it. You're really good. This this is a very seasoned player who has just been a leader for this team, and in his age 34 season, he has been absolutely incredible. There was no questions that he was going to be the starting first baseman for the All Star team, and he has been amazing. He's been absolutely incredible, and just another example of a player who has been an anchor for his team, along with Nolan Arenado, my favorite player, and just it says a lot about him. And when you watch his approach, he's in such control of the at bats. I think that's one of the big themes of guys like Aaron Judge and Paul Goldschmidt, and many other players who I could list off. When you're in control of the at bat, when you know what you want, when you know what you don't want, and then you can recognize these things uh, it makes the biggest difference. Paul Goldschmidt is such a professional player. He's such a professional hitter. So I think that's a big highlight to to talk about. So Paulie and Aaron Judge, incredible, incredible. Those are two players you want to tell your kids to watch, and just it's amazing. It's amazing. We got to appreciate this talent right now because we're gonna miss them when they're not when they're not playing pro ball anymore. So yeah, those are my picks for the good, for the positives.
Yeah, yeah, dude. I mean, yeah, you hit the nail on the head with those types of guys. Those are the type of guys you want the kids to see out there. You want them to model their game after is Aaron Judge and Paul Goldschmidt. Those guys are the elite of the elite. And
Yeah,
another thing on Paul Goldschmidt, I mean, he's the league leader in WAR. I mean, he leads the
yeah,
majors in WAR, 4.7.
helps the
I
team win.
mean, yeah. So I mean, it's just it's been. Honestly, yeah, like you said, like he hasn't been getting a lot of attention maybe because he's hiding in St. Louis. Obviously,
Right.
there's plenty of great players there. I mean, the Cardinals have three of the top 10 WAR leaders in baseball in their lineup, which is insane. And like I've said before, that's one of the main reasons why I think they could easily win the NL Central if they play their cards right. No pun intended there, literally. And so we'll see. But on
Yeah.
my end of things, I actually picked both two of the American League, which is unlike me, as I'm obviously a National League guy. Um, but the first being Byron Buxton. We talked a little bit about the Twins earlier
Oh
and
my
what they've been
goodness.
doing, but man, Byron Buxton, man, like it's another guy like, and he's been through way more than what Happ is. But I was thinking about it, just like what these guys have been through. Byron Buxton has been through just so much injuries, and he's only played I think he's only played over yeah he's only played over 70 games three times in his career, and he has 67 already in July. So
Yeah.
he's having a career year, but he's aiming to also play a career high in games. So
Yeah.
that's awesome to see, man. And just like what he's done to lead that Twins team to first place has been incredible. He's has a 2.9 WAR, 23 home runs. He's tied for sixth in the majors. He's third amongst AL outfielders with that mark. He's got 7 outs above average, which is sixth in the majors amongst outfielders. So
Baller.
he plays all over the place. He plays a well-rounded baseball, and just a great guy too. I mean, the way that Rocco Baldelli announced it to everyone, I think it says what type of player he is. More importantly, how much of a how good of a person he is, and how much the team respects him, and it showed a lot. I mean, like his player, the players were going crazy for him, and he represents everything that everything that's good about the Twins and about that organization. So give it up for Byron Bucks. I mean, the guy's one of the best players in baseball, and you know
Yeah.
when we're talking about one of the best players in baseball and one of the best center fielders in baseball, you can't go without mentioning the Seattle Mariners, Julio Rodriguez. And I didn't pick him
Yeah.
because we have the same last name. That's not why, but I would be lying if I didn't say it was at least 2% as to why. Um, but it's his first All Star selection. He's the only rookie All Star in the game. He's the first Mariner rookie All Star since Ichiro, and the fifth in Mariners history. I mean, this guy gets compared to Ken Griffey Jr., and if that doesn't say it all, I don't know what will. He's like only 21, and he's got a 3.4 WAR, and that's already 10th in the majors. Now, this guy got off to a rough start. People were saying, "Oh, maybe is this kid got it? Is this the Julio that everyone was talking about?" He had an April with the 544 OPS, and after that, he's just gone off to go 866 in May, 903 in June, and he has a 914 in July so far. So he's killing it, and he has 6 outs above average. So as if hitting wasn't enough, he's also playing great defensive ball, and he's also already has over 20 steals, which what I cannot stress enough that in 2022 having more than 20 steals in a season is impressive. Let
Yeah.
alone let alone at the halfway mark. And I mean, we grew up in the era where like Jose Reyes had like 50 at the half. Like he had like I think
Yep, yep,
like 70 or 80. And that was awesome. So seeing guys like Julio like bring it back and maybe like, even maybe him he's trying to have a 30-30 season.
yeah.
Who he definitely has the pop to do it. I think he has like 11 or 12 bombs right now.
Yeah,
But yeah, who knows? We'll see. But yeah, and also just the fact that he's been one of those guys for the Mariners that have helped them maybe make a postseason run. 45-42
yeah.
right now. They're second in the
Young
AL
spark
West.
plug. Yeah,
Yeah, they're tied for third in the American League wild card race. Um, but yeah, I mean, just other things that to point out when you look at his Savant page. I mean, he's in the 90th percentile in 6 key categories: max exit velocity, barrel percentage, and sprint speed. His sprint speed, he's in the 97th percentile, so that guy flies.
yeah,
So yeah, I mean, those are that like two guys that really are the some of the biggest stars in the American League and just two of the best center fielders in the game. So
yeah,
I can't wait to see those guys go off in the All-Star game and in their first All-Star game. And just for the world to know them more because obviously
yeah.
Julio, not a lot of people see him because he's on the West and those games are so late. And Byron Buxton's in Minnesota, so it'll be cool to see the rest of the league kind of get a little bit of a peek of who these players are overall. Now, we obviously there's got to be some bad news, and the snubs. There's always snubs. So, who is your particular snub you wanted to talk about today?
Freddie Freeman. Uh, listen, I know that first base is a very, very loaded. That's a very loaded position for a lot of talented first basemen. Did Freddie? What do we do? Okay, I know that this position is very, very deep. I know that. That's very understandable. You look at Goldschmidt, and then you look at Pete Alonso, two players who are having an amazing season. But how is Freddie Freeman really not in the All Star game right now? Are you look? Is he? As of right now, he has 11 home runs, 54 driven in, a 304 batting average with 102 hits, 55 runs. What did we miss? Are you serious? There is no other player. Maybe we could put him in the DH category because he's not even on the roster. He's like, this is a player to me, and this is not anything against William Contreras. This is nothing against him. He deserves to be there. He's great, but we're talking about a player who is batting 300, and he isn't even on the team. He's not on the roster. What are we doing? What are we doing? What did we miss? I don't get it. I want to talk to the commissioner and be like, hey, expand it one more roster spot because Freddie Freeman should be in the All-Star game. I don't care. There's no argument someone can give me that be like, oh, well, nothing. There is no excuse for this right here. He should be in the All-Star game. I don't get it. It bugs me. This really bugs me. This is a player who's having an amazing season. He's having an amazing season, and he's not in the All-Star game. Now I'm starting to sound like Stephen A. Smith, which is probably not too bad. Stephen A. is a man. This is a snub. This is a snubby snub. This is the snubbiest of snubs that I've ever seen. Freddie Freeman should be in the All-Star game. Anyone who's listening to this, don't you dare text or call me and tell me why he should not be, and the other players who deserve it. Do not tell me this. This is a man who's having an amazing season. I'm gonna check his stats again when come September, October, and is going to add to this moment, okay? Freddie Freeman should be in the All-Star game. He's an All-Star player. I know he's on the Dodgers. I know there's been some drama with the teammates, and everyone's kind of adjusting to being a Dodger again. I get it. I understand that. I'm right there with him. I actually feel bad for him with that whole situation. I think he should be a Brave. But that doesn't change the fact that Freddie Freeman he should be an All-Star. And not just an All-Star, Saul. He should be a starter.
Oh, I just got breaking news. They just added a Freddie Freeman spot in the, the national. They're gonna call it the Freddie Freeman edition on the all roster spot. oh, I mean, after that, if I'm gonna, because I think he represents himself at the right now. I could be wrong, but after that video, after that, I'm gonna like screen grab that, bro, and I'm gonna be like, hey, Freddie, if you need an agent, Miles Porter,
Oh.
no experience in the agent game, but you know what? He's gonna fight for you, tooth and nail,
Oh,
to get you.
Freddie, I got your back, man.
Oh my, I don't know. I don't think I can follow that, to be honest, because
Freddie Freeman. What
that
are you
yeah
doing?
that's because yeah, Freddie Freeman definitely deserved to be there, and that's another guy that I'm sure is on the cusp, and will get there by injury, and you'll be the first. But when I see that notification that they add Freddie Freeman into the game, I'm sure you'll be the first person to either tell me or I'll tell you.
Oh, I'm
Um,
doing backflips and handstands as soon as that happens. Dude, it'll be quite the celebration. He should be an all-star. Go
yeah.
ahead. Sorry.
Oh man, no, hey, you're right. And speaking of first baseman, that's the category I'm in, and it's in the American League. Now this is and this is not is also, I mean, just outrageous, absolutely criminal that this guy's not on the All Star game, and it's Ty France from the Seattle Mariners. Now, I mean, man, this guy, I feel like, did everything he needed to do to be an American League All Star. Like, not only is he the leader of this club, he is their their offensive leader, defensive leader, leader in the clubhouse. Like, this guy has been there, done. He's 27 years old. He's been through it. He came out of the Padres. The Padres dumped him off to the Mariners. It's like he wanted a spot where he could be a star, and he's got his spot in Seattle. And he's got an 840 OPS, a 2.7 WAR. He had a 4.2 WAR season last year, so he could easily outdo that. The guy never strikes out. He's in the 89th percentile in K percentage. And yeah, I mean, this is just like same with Julio Rodriguez. He's one of those leaders of the team that has put the Mariners where they're at now, 45 and 42. Really, to have an opportunity to make the postseason for the first time since '01. So yeah, I mean, it's very disappointing, and I hope that he's one of those guys that's replaced. But you know what? Actually, this kind of plays into what I was going to talk to next, man. Is and it might actually like your reaction might actually tell me everything with the fact that they added legends now to the roster. So it's Miguel Cabrera and Albert Pujols. Now, love those guys. Those guys are the epitome of a legend. But the news that I wasn't aware of was the fact that they take a spot on the roster. It's not additional, so they take a spot from someone. Miles has left the building. Miles has left the building. It's over. Yeah, man, I know. I wasn't aware of that either. And that when I found that out, I was like, that changes things. I was like, oh, it's cute. You have Pujols in there. You got Cabrera, and that's cool, fine. But when I heard that they took a spot, it's different. It's an All-Star game. Why not add the additional spot? Why not have them added? Like, it sucks for the present player. Like, the fact that now it's going to take up a spot for somebody that deserves to be, that doesn't make any sense. So,
Like Freddie Freeman.
like Freddie, yeah, exactly. So, yeah. Well, what are your thoughts overall about the Legends thing? And I mean, I'm sure you have much more to say now that the fact that hey, it took a spot from Freddie Freeman.
Yeah, so I didn't know that it takes a spot. Okay, that changes it a little bit for me. That is breaking news to me as we are recording this episode. Okay, so I still like it. I still like it a lot. I still think that there is a lot of value in kind of honoring a player. These players, in terms of like Miggy Cabrera and Albert Pujols, these are two legendary players. These are two players that have had such prestigious careers. 100%, I think they deserve to be there. I won't take away from that at all. I like that, and I think it's gonna be interesting each year to see who the legend player will be. So I think that's pretty interesting. I think in terms of taking up a roster spot, I think I think it's stupid. I think it's really stupid. Because I think with like you add the I think they're their own roster spot. They shouldn't take away from certain players that are in their prime that deserve to be on the roster as well. I think that the legend spots, what they're called, players like this they should have their own spot. They should have their own kind of like category of the roster, still playing the game just like everybody else. But they shouldn't take away from the full roster of what the All Star team is, because I think unnecessary snubs happen. And a player who deserves to who's having a great year and who deserves to be on the roster should not be on the roster because of a legend or because of a legend spot. I think the legend spot should be its own thing. And you poke in another player who is having a great season. So it's still fair.
Yeah, no, I mean, it changes the whole dynamic of what I thought about that spot, and yeah, like I mean, it's cool to see those guys 100%. I have no problem with that, but just the fact that it takes up a spot, I think I was like, man, that's a little bit of a sour taste. That's tough for some of those guys that should have been there. And when you talk about those guys, if they count it as like a first base spot, I mean, those guys are like obviously DHs, I think at this point, but if they take like a first base spot, that's rough on us. You know what I mean? American League and in a
Mm,
National League first baseman, because we're standing up for those guys.
right. Like
Um,
ones that play for the Dodgers,
yeah,
those
yeah,
kind of
exactly,
guys.
exactly. Yeah, I mean that just about wraps things up for this episode of the At Bat Baseball Podcast. Ended on a high note. We'll be back next week to sum up the All Star Game and the Home Run Derby. It'll be fun
Oh yeah.
to watch that in Los Angeles. The first time the Home Run Derby's there on Monday, and then the All Star Game on Tuesday. So hopefully everyone enjoys the festivities. For Saul Rodriguez, Miles Porter. We'll see you next week and have a great All Star week.